A diver entered a ship 30 meters beneath the sea, and a human hand moved. 33 miners vanished beneath a desert, then sent a message from 700 meters below. An untrained seamstress joined 4 men on an Arctic expedition, but became the only one to return. Impossible stories. All true. Before dawn on May 26, 2013, the offshore tug Jascon was working about 30 kilometers off Nigeria. In its galley, the ship's cook was starting an ordinary shift. Harrison Okene was 29 years old. He was preparing for the crew's morning, with no reason to imagine that within minutes his workplace would become a trap. At about 4:50 a.m., Harrison was in a toilet when loose objects began sliding. Without warning, the room tilted. The entire vessel was turning over. Heavy Atlantic swells rolled the tugboat onto its side and then upside down. Water rushed through the vessel as it sank through the pre-dawn darkness toward the seabed. Harrison forced open a metal door, but surging water swept him through corridors whose floors and ceilings had exchanged places. In darkness, every direction became uncertain. Jascon finally settled upside down in about 30 meters of water. 11 other people had been aboard. Rescue teams believed they were approaching a recovery, not a rescue. Inside an inverted toilet connected to an officer's cabin, Harrison found a small pocket of trapped air. It was just enough space to keep his head above the rising water. He tore wall paneling free and arranged it into a small platform, lifting more of his body out of the cold water. There was no food or drinkable water. Hours became days. Harrison listened for activity, then struck the vessel with an object, hoping someone might notice. Whether the sound guided the rescuers remains uncertain. On May 28th, professional saturation divers reached the overturned wreck and entered its flooded compartments beneath powerful lamps. Their task was to search a vessel whose crew were presumed dead. One diver's helmet camera passed over what appeared to be a motionless hand. Then the hand reached toward him. The diver froze in surprise. Against every expectation, Harrison Okene was alive. After roughly 60 hours below, rescue was dangerous. Pressure had dissolved nitrogen into Harrison's tissues, so surfacing could have killed him. He was transferred through a diving bell and spent 60 more hours in a decompression chamber. Harrison survived because air remained inside a sunken ship. The next survivors had air, but no road up. For 17 days, nobody above even knew they were still alive. On August 5, 2010, 33 men were working an ordinary shift inside Chile's San José copper-gold mine beneath the dry expanse of the Atacama Desert. Without warning, a massive collapse blocked the main access route. Rock and dust sealed the miners deep inside a network of tunnels, approximately 700 meters below ground. They regrouped in and around the mine refuge. Survival now depended on cooperation, assessing their surroundings, organizing responsibilities, and protecting the limited supplies they still had. Food and potable water were extremely scarce. The men controlled what remained while the days passed without contact, unsure whether any drill above was coming close. On the surface, families gathered near the mine while rescue crews worked across the desert. Day after day, there was still no proof that anyone below had survived. Teams drilled narrow exploratory boreholes through hundreds of meters of rock. Each attempt could miss the refuge entirely, and the first 7 failed to establish contact. Then, on August 22nd, the 17th day underground, the 8th drill broke into accessible rock near the miners. They finally had a connection to the surface. They could answer. Before the drill was withdrawn, the miners attached a handwritten note, their proof of life. It carried the message that rescuers and families had been desperate to receive. When the drill returned, the note confirmed that all 33 were together and alive in the refuge. An uncertain search became a rescue operation. Now, the surface knew where to find them. Through the narrow borehole came food, medicine, communication equipment, and contact with their families. It became their lifeline. But the opening was far too small for any person to escape. Chile led a vast engineering and medical effort, supported by international specialists. NASA advised on health, psychology, nutrition, and capsule requirements, but it did not run the rescue. After weeks of preparation, multiple drilling plans produced a shaft wide enough for the Fénix 2 capsule. On October 13th, each miner began a controlled, individual journey upward through the rock. One by one, they emerged into the desert and the eyes of a global audience. Shift foreman Luis Urzua came up last. After 69 days underground, every one of the 33 miners was alive. Not one remained below. The miners had governments, engineers, and families working above them. Ada Blackjack had no rescue team in sight, only one reason to continue: the son still waiting at home. Ada Blackjack was a young Iñupiat mother from near Nome, Alaska. Her son, Bennett, lived with chronic tuberculosis, and caring for him shaped every decision that followed. Abandoned by her husband and unable to afford Bennett's treatment, Ada placed him in an orphanage while she searched for work. She earned what she could as a seamstress. In 1921, an Arctic expedition offered $50 a month for sewing and cooking. Ada was not chasing adventure. She saw a way to bring Bennett home. In September 1921, at 23, she departed with Alan Crawford, Milton Gallo, Fred Maurer, and Lorne Knight. Their party also included a cat named Victoria, Vic for short. The expedition reached Wrangel Island in September 1921. When the transport ship disappeared, 5 people and 1 cat were left on one of the Arctic's most isolated islands. Their mission was not simply scientific. It included an attempt to establish a settlement and territorial claim. At first, the party built camp and expected relief the following year. But the 1922 relief ship never reached them. Funding problems, politics, and sea ice intervened. As the water closed again, their isolation entered a second winter. Supplies diminished, and hunting was less dependable than the expedition's organizer had promised. Lorne Knight developed scurvy. The danger was no longer theoretical, and the entire plan began to unravel. In January 1923, Crawford, Maurer, and Gala set out with the remaining sled dogs across the sea ice toward Siberia to seek help. They were never seen again. Ada remained with the gravely ill Knight and Vic. She maintained the camp, searched for food, and became Knight's principal caregiver, despite having little training for either task. Knight died on June 23, 1923. Only then was Ada the sole human survivor on the island. Vic stayed beside her, but no rescue timetable remained and no ship was visible. Ada recorded the Knight's death and continued keeping written records. She did not become fearless or superhuman. She created routines and kept performing the next necessary task. Ada, hired to sew and cook, taught herself to use and maintain the expedition's firearms. She practiced carefully because food now depended on unfamiliar skills she had never expected to need. Ada hunted birds, trapped foxes, collected eggs, made clothing, and repaired what she could. These were learned survival skills, not abilities she automatically possessed because she was Iñupiat. Inside the shelter, she even sewed a pair of moccasins for Bennett. On an island with no certain rescue, she continued preparing for the life she hoped to reach. Then, on August 20th, 1923, after nearly 2 years on Wrangel Island, a ship appeared through the fog. Harold Noyce and the Donaldson's crew had reached the island. Ada ran toward the shore. Ada and Vic returned alive. Public attention followed, but others profited more from her story than she did. What mattered most came later. She reunited with Bennett and could finally pay for the medical care he needed. A cook beneath the sea, 33 miners beneath a desert, and a mother alone in the Arctic survived through 3 very different combinations of endurance, cooperation, adaptation, and rescue. Which story seemed most impossible to you? Tell us in the comments, like the video, and subscribe for more extraordinary true stories. The truth doesn't have to sound believable. This is Sounds Fake, but True.